Hello there. The new British Prime Minister has unanimously angered economists and investors, and that's understandable. Her tax plans are highly risky and could leave the UK in a debt hole. A few years from now, when historians bend over the events surrounding the death of Queen Elizabeth II, they could be wrong. Apparently, the death of the monarch has shaken the British economy and thrown the financial market into turmoil. Since the Queen's funeral, the British pound has at times lost up to 9% against the dollar, and parity with the Swiss franc even seems possible. The prices of 10-year government bonds lost so much that the yield shot up to more than 4%. But the market's distrust is not aimed at the new King Charles III. Instead, Kwasi Kwarteng, the new Chancellor of the Exchequer, has pushed himself to the fore with a bang and into a barrage of criticism. Rarely has a British government budget been so quickly, so strongly, and so unanimously condemned by analysts and also economists and investors alike, like the one that Kwarteng presented last Friday. The loss of trust is great. What Kwarteng is planning is in line with the promises made by his boss, the new Prime Minister Liz Truss. It doesn't sound bad in particular or in principle. Tax cuts, investment incentives, and a reform of bureaucracy and planning hurdles should lead the British economy onto a path of higher growth. Real growth of 2.5% in gross domestic product per year is the goal of Kwarteng, after an average of 1.5% since the financial crisis and in view of the risk of a recession. But the implementation has shaky ground and the calculation doesn't add up. The tax cuts are huge and add up to the largest reduction in 50 years. They apply, among other things, to corporate and income taxes, but benefit disproportionately wealthy households. Some of them are reversing increases that have only recently been made. It's unclear why the reasons for the increase at the time, including the restructuring of the NHS Health Service and Social Security, should suddenly no longer apply. The greatest mistrust, however, arouses the financing. The Truss government is banking on higher new debt. The debt level has shot up anyway due to the corona crisis. The cap on energy prices, which Truss announced as the first official act, is already tearing a big hole in the state coffers. In total, new borrowing in the current financial years is likely to reach more than 9% of economic output. Not only the amount is staggering, but also the running costs. Great Britain borrows the money in an environment of rapidly rising international interest rates. On the other hand, the promised reforms are just declarations of intent. Details are missing still. It's doubtful that individual special economic zones, such as those envisaged by Kwarteng, will make a big difference. Liberalizing Britain's crippling planning system was already a goal of Boris Johnson's, but he had backtracked in face of opposition from within his own party. And the promised Brexit debureaucratization could degenerate into a legal uncertainty if it is enforced with a populist two-handed sword. Observers are rightly shocked by the budget's list. The costs are high, are incurred immediately and permanently. The benefits are short term, with income stabilization and hence demand likely to prevent a slide into recession. In the medium term, Liz Truss administration needs to do far more to unlock the promised growth. And the pressure to succeed is huge. The growth is needed to keep the mountain of debt from becoming completely unsustainable. It's a bet that the new Tory government, in a nasty environment, will do what its conservative predecessors failed to do over the past 12 years. If it fails, Britain will be saddled with a heavy burden. Currently, the markets don't think the bet is going to work out. There's already speculation as to whether the Bank of England will not brace itself against the collapse of the pound with an emergency interest rate hike. In any case, monetary policy is now in open conflict with fiscal policy. According to central bankers, the British economy has no free capacity. The additional demand that Truss is generating as a result of the tax cuts threatens to further fuel already high inflation, and the Bank of England must counteract this. Investors are already expecting a top interest rate of more than 5%, just below the high before the global financial crisis. It's currently 2.25%. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.